Alright, so we are rapidly closing in on the debut of Netflix's live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender, the adaptation years and years in the making. As we're all aware, with the show being in live action, it will need to depart from the source material in many small ways and probably a few large ways as well. So I wanted to make a video on all the theories and thoughts I have and possible changes I think could be coming to the show. For this video, we'll keep it pretty grounded, changes I think could be pretty reasonably actually present in the show. Maybe if people like this video, I'll do another one with my really unhinged and unlikely guesses, who knows. I'm even gonna get into some ideas that I'm hoping for that I think could enhance the storytelling of the original show. I know it's sacrilege to say Avatar: The Last Airbender isn't a perfect show already, but I think there are parts that can be improved on, especially in this first season. But we'll get into that. As a way to frame this video, I've put my thoughts in a bingo card format, just as a little fun so we can look back and see if I won when the show comes out. Okay, where to start? Sozin's Comet is not close. Obviously, we're all aware that the time crunch of Sozin's Comet closing in is a constant worry in the cartoon. The whole cartoon from episode 1 to 61 takes place over the course of what, like 9 or 10 months probably? So that's not gonna work. This show's gonna take years to make, and the actors have already visibly aged from the time that the first season was filmed to now. So pretending the show takes months rather than years is probably not gonna happen. I'm gonna say the live action either says Sozin's Comet is 3+ years away or just doesn't mention it at all. Zuko's ship and crew dynamic will be more fleshed out. You know, for how much time we spend with Zuko on his ship, we don't get a good look on how that dynamic affects him or his crewmates. We do see that tempers can flare during the storm briefly, but that's pretty much it. We actually have a brief little scene here where Zuko is training or sparring with this guy. You know this guy? He's got a name, you'd be surprised. That's classic Avatar character Lieutenant G, but that's exactly my point. You don't know him because we don't get to see a lot of the boat life and the boys very often. I bet we'll see a little more of it. Sokka and Yue will have more screen time together. Now, I'm of the opinion that Sokka's romance plot at the end of book 1 in the cartoon was paper thin. The two of them didn't share enough time on screen for me to really feel the loss of Yue the way the show wanted me to. It was obviously a big loss for Sokka that affects him going forward, but I've never been able to feel the loss the same way he did, and I wish I could. I'm hoping the additional runtime the show has allows for Sokka and Yue's relationship to feel more fleshed out and real, so when she has to go, it hits harder. Speaking of runtime, and I don't have the exact lengths of each episode on hand, but I've heard over and over that it'll be 8 one-hour-long episodes. Now, I also hear people lamenting the show will only be 8 episodes. How are they gonna cover the whole first season? Now, I'm no fucking time doctor or anything, but I think 8 one-hour episodes may be even longer than 20 20-minute episodes. I don't know, I've sent the numbers off to the lab, I'll let you know. Aang and Katara will be on the back burner. Playing off a point from a few points back, the gap between Katara and Aang at the time of filming was pretty visually striking. I don't know what they'll do for the romance plot in the show overall, but I think they'll probably wait until the later seasons when Gordon Cormier starts looking a little older to start pairing him with Katara, if they do at all. No Haru. Fuck Haru. I don't want Haru in the show. Leave Haru in the dirt. Kyoshi shows up on Kyoshi Island. A theory from my teaser breakdown. We know Kyoshi is cast already, despite not showing up in book 1 at all in the cartoon. That knowledge, combined with this freeze frame of someone wearing green and definitely airbending from that teaser, leads me to believe that Kyoshi possesses Aang on Kyoshi Island to defend her home. Or this could just be Aang dressed up as Kyoshi, like he does in book 2 briefly for a second there, but I don't know why he would do that in this situation. Another teaser theory, we see briefly that Zuko is walking towards something. I reckon it's a ship and he's surrounded by Fire Nation troops saluting him. This is set up a lot like the scene from book 2 where Azula is trying to fool him onto the ship so she can capture him and take him home as a prisoner. We know Azula will be playing a role in book 1, and other than this scene being at night, it seems to be set up the exact same. And the banished, disgraced Zuko wouldn't normally be getting this treatment from soldiers. I think I'm right about this one. This scene is this scene. Plus Azula minus pirates. Kinda riffing on the last point, I think maybe this scene doubles as the moment Zuko loses his resources near the end of the season. They'll want to set the precedent of Zuko hunting Aang for a while, I'm sure, but if Azula is also introduced in this season, she'll naturally need to be an antagonist to Zuko as well. I think Azula might be introduced in the second half of the season, or at least enter the plot more actively then, and before the finale we'll have this scene, where she tries to trick him, but it will also double as the scene where the pirates blow up Zuko's ship. I don't think Azula will actually blow up his ship per se, but this will be the same moment where Zuko loses his resources, in the same way that he does then, since he'll be a fugitive of the Fire Nation. Extra points if she does actually blow up his ship though. Early fights will not be ass. Let's face it, the fights in the first few episodes of the cartoon are not good on any level. They're boring. From the most recent trailer, we get a taste of Zuko and Aang's first meeting, and it seems like it's going to be much more thrilling. But I hope at least fights like Zuko and Zhao's Agni Kai get to be choreographed a lot better as well. Sozin versus Gyatso. I said in my trailer breakdown that this moment could literally be Fire Lord Sozin versus Monk Gyatso, and I said that while it's a cool idea, it might be a little on the nose for me. But if you think about it, Sozin and Gyatso might know each other. Roku very well could have introduced them at some point, and if what Aang says is true,
Monk Gyatso. the greatest airbender in the world.
And that's not just him gassing up his mentor. Sozin could have made a point to go to the Southern Air Temple during the comet to deal with Gyatso himself, which if we get a little dialogue between them, that could be a really cool angle. No great divide, obviously. In fact, I wouldn't mind if they recycled the Ember Island players joke. I think that'd be great. Free space. Come on, it's bingo. You need a free space. Suki joins for more than just the island episode. Pretty simple one. I think it's entirely possible that Suki joins the crew after Kyoshi Island for a bit. We haven't seen any shots of the entire gang traveling on Appa that take place conclusively after the Kyoshi Island episode, so who knows who's with them. I think Suki might play a bigger role in book 1 in the adaptation, which would be cool. Maybe her and Sokka's relationship grows more naturally over time and then she has to leave before the North Pole, something like that. The Kuruk statue, pretty simple one. I bet this statue we see barely in the most recent trailer is of Avatar Kuruk, just based off the fact that Kuruk is already cast and this seems to be taking place in the Spirit Oasis, a very spiritual place. That's all the info I have to back this theory up, so if I'm right, I want this to be in as many videos as it can be so people know I was right. And if I'm wrong, I'm sure I'll hear about it in the comments in a few weeks' time. Some less important episodes will be scrapped. Episodes like the Fortune Teller or the Waterbending Scroll may be scrapped entirely or be merged together or be worked into more important plots as smaller beats. Like we know that June and Nyla are present, but are they gonna be in a 30-minute segment where the gang just hangs out with Bato and shit? Maybe, I don't know, but I think probably not. Ozai will be a character. Even with the benefit of having 3 seasons of the cartoon, Firelord Ozai never really ascended past mwahaha. Hopefully with the live action doing away with one of the coolest parts about him and the fact that we don't get to see him until Zuko gets to see him, they can turn the additional screen time he has into making him a more interesting character. Don't get me wrong, I don't need or want Ozai to be a tortured, morally gray villain, but there's definitely room there for him to be more than he was in the cartoon. Teo and Aang might be good friends, more so than they were in the show, I mean, knowing now that Omashu and the Northern Air Temple episodes are mashed together, thanks to the many comments I got on my trailer breakdown of people going, actually I believe this is Teo, and the explosion will have something to do with the Mechanist, acting like it was their own deep analysis when they simply watched the producers break down the trailer first, and they say that is what it is, and then they come and comment that on my video. I know what you guys are doing, you ain't slick. But anyway, with the Omashu episode being about Aang's old friend Boomy, I feel like the theme of friendship might extend to Teo, and seeing the two fly together, I get the feeling they might get along pretty well. White Lotus hints. I feel like with how Netflix tends to drop shows, that being all at once, the adaptation would benefit from having the White Lotus be hinted at all the way back in book 1. When it comes to fruition, it'll feel more cohesive that way, because people will probably binge this show in a few sittings each time a season comes out. Having hints to further storylines would be a nice way to make the show seem grander and more connected than just those binges. Plus, there should be plenty of opportunity for it. Zhao gets fucking murked, dead, on the ground. None of this, ooh, the spirit took him, who knows what happened. No, I bet Zhao will be donezo, on screen. We're TV-14, we ain't TVY7 no more. Honestly, if they wanted to keep one single thing from the M. Night adaptation, I wouldn't mind it. It's pretty brutal. God, let Azula be more of a character, please. You're introducing her much earlier in book 1. Please give her some more nuance than she has in the cartoon. I'm begging you. This scene of Zuko and Iroh on the road takes place when Iroh was captured by the Earth Kingdom soldiers, and will be the equivalent to this fight in the cartoon. This theory is pretty much confirmed by the new trailer, but I coined it way back during the teaser months ago. God, I'm sharp. I just want to celebrate myself with this one. If this somehow doesn't turn out to be this moment, I might delete my channel. Aang will have one named airbender friend, his age I mean. The moment where Aang remembers the airbenders during the Guru always seemed odd to me once I realized that Aang didn't think about any of the friends that were his age in that moment, and I get why they didn't do that. It's not a very nice thought, people Aang's age being caught up in the Fire Nation attack. But Aang seemed well liked at the temple among his peers, and I think perhaps naming one or a few in a flashback could make the horrible occurrences hit even harder for Aang and the audience. I ain't trying to be a dick, I ain't trying to be big-headed, I know I'm sub-D-list as YouTubers go, I'm just saying there's a non-zero chance that someone on the production teams likes my videos and maybe, you know, slipped in the fact that maybe one of the soldiers is perhaps named Jean Weifu, and it somehow got past countless levels of editing and rewrites and higher-ups having the say-so. I don't know when it would ever come up, maybe it's just like a name in the credits or something. I don't know. Probably won't happen, but ho ho, what if it did? Punished Momo will return. So yeah, we're a couple weeks out, everyone. Holy cow, it's happening for real. Like I've said over and over at this point, I hope the show is different. I'll always have the original show. No one can take that from me, so having a new take on it feels like it'll be fun. That's so long as it's a base level of quality that most people can enjoy, you know? But what do you guys think? Obviously, not all of my guesses will be correct, but I bet I got a couple. Leave a comment on something you think might happen or a change you might see coming. And tell me if you want the other version of this video too, the one with the crazy theories. Oh, and subscribe too if you want to see more coverage of the live action show when it comes out. I should probably probably make a habit of saying that. Anyway, Patreon shoutouts. If you want to see 2 brand new videos from me, you can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link, as always, is in the description below the video. Biggest shoutouts of all go to my top patrons, Overanalyzing, who after studying hummingbirds can actually manage to hover off the ground by flapping his arms for about 3 seconds. Too bad they break too. There are 50 Cobalt, who grew an extra lung so he could donate it to a kid who needed it. Ian Byrne, who won a game of Jenga despite a category 4 tornado hitting his home while it was his turn. Keep to Yourself, who was known for their famous philosophical thought, if dog is man's best friend, then is man dog man's best friend? Keir Walsh, who is the only reason helicopters work. He believes they do, so they do. Laferg13, who was the first person to survive the twisted underground game show only known as Bullet Hell. It's what it sounds like. Potato Scream, who made a wine that was so good Dionysus descended from the sky and said, quote, hey, not bad. Roman J. Cobb, who unlocked the secret belt in Muay Thai, Gray, which is ultimate. Starfish Hugger, whose best friend is a bull elephant poltergeist. Finding a workable living space has been a challenge. Stephanie Riches, who keeps the Yellowstone supervolcano from going off by resetting an egg timer she has on her desk over and over. The former Meaning of Life, who watched Mandela do the effect. They know how to do it. The 1 a.m. Party, who entered the Olympics as a one-person nation and medaled twice. Synchronized swimming and pistol dueling. Thomas Lautenbach, who escaped a burning building by doing a sick gainer off the balcony. Whitrow, who turned off their brain's safety and now they uncontrollably punch anyone who gets within 5 feet of them. And Jean Wei Fu, whose tea shop is just about to open, but they still don't have a name. Sharon keeps saying Jean Wei Brews, but that sounds corny. Sharon has been acting strange lately as well, though. And of course, my other Fuck You Money patrons, Aurora, Balmier Candle, Catch Adorable, Gene Cree, Jacob 1908, Lemon, Omega Fighter, Sean Martin, Tater of Tots, Tiago Nascimento, That Blind Ginger, and William Fisher. And my god overanalyzers, Two Boots Are Beat, 9Y2Y, A Moss-Covered Raccoon, Aang, Ethereal Catnip, Alan Garvin, Andrew Watford, Black Smeme, Bob Deff, Chandler Crump, Kobe Smith, Connor Gallery, Dead Rat Fiasco, Deathly Healer, Dizzy Payne, Dr. Xerox, Dominic Saint, Donut, Distant, Emma Not Emma, Aaron Grace, Gianluca Leandro Magi, I'm a Match, Jada Jones, Jackson, John Ajaka, Justin Fletchall, Justin Scott, Kai D, Kelly, Mac, Mackie and Eligio, Mark Rethy, Medium D Speaks, Michael Fallon, Mighty Virus, Nick, Nicholas Abbott, Peter Bayron, Reese, Rocket Mist, Ryan Gregorikos, Ryan Maxwell, Samuel Vanderplatt, Sergeant Carrot 69, Shane Antonacci, Sean Flowers, Spicy Ketchup, Super Snipper, the long and short of it, Thomas Graff, Victoria the Queen, and some sort of bear face, I don't know. Next up, do I even have 25 batshit theories?